to this virtual production vlog. My name is Matt Workman, and in this video we're going to be talking about the epic mega grant that I was awarded. On top of that, we're going to also do a mid-2020 studio tour. First and foremost, what is an epic mega grant? And to help explain that, I'm going to go over to my first computer, which is over here. So this is Studio A, and we'll get to that stuff in a little bit. This is my first computer here. This is an iMac Pro 5K, I think that's what you call it. And this is my general Mac OS, iOS, Unreal Engine programming workstation. So before we get into the epic mega grant and what that is, what's kind of interesting is that this computer is actually from the older grant system that I think was called the Unreal Developer Grant. I actually was awarded one of those about 2 years ago, was to essentially take Cinetracer from PC and port it to the Mac, which is kind of a lot of work. And so that grant actually went into buying this computer. I have a MacBook Pro and a bunch of other hardware on top of just development costs. So since then, Epic has basically like quadrupled or 10 times that grant program, and they've made the Epic Mega Grant program, which I was actually at GDC at the State of Unreal in 2019 when they announced this, which was kind of exciting. And so let's just talk a little bit about what it is. I'm on the website right here, and that's where you're gonna wanna go if you wanna learn more about this or you wanna apply for a mega grant yourself, because they still have money to give out. So what we see here is Epic Mega Grants make amazing things. And I'm just gonna read it. It says, Epic Games has committed $100 million to support game developers, enterprise professionals, that's me, media entertainment creators, that's also me, students, educators, and tool developers doing amazing things with Unreal Engine, etc. So if you're doing cool things with Unreal Engine, if it's game development or it's, in my case, film and media kind of development, they have money, $100 million to give out to people over, I think, like 5 years or something like that. And I know a lot of people who have gotten mega grants, YouTubers, game developers, people who are making feature films, TV shows, pilots, like all sorts of stuff. The mega grants are not just for like game developers. Wanted to kind of make that clear. Clearly the first category is game developers, but right after is media and entertainment. Enterprise, which is like architecture. So if you're making apps, you have a cool project in mind, and it's using Unreal Engine. Education, so a lot of educational YouTubers, and of course tool developers. I'm gonna be beta testing a lot of Epic Mega Grant developers' new tools, which is gonna be kind of fun. And all of that is eligible to win or be awarded a mega grant. And all you do to apply for it, that's my email address, is you basically fill out this form. That's it, right? And that's how I got the first developer grant, and that is how I got my second mega grant, was just filling out that form. My one tip is to, one, have something very concrete to show visually, or like a game demo or something like that. Although those fields are very small, I wrote like a 10-page essay and just copied and pasted into there. I suggest you do the same thing, like really flesh it out, really think about it, you know, maybe have somebody like check it before you send it in. But that is the Epic Mega Grants program, and I'll be showing you what it is that I'm doing with my mega grant, what my mega grant is about, and the best way to do that is to continue the studio tour. So let's keep going here. So that is the Mac workstation, and coming over here, this is my main developer workstation setup, and I've just kind of got it upgraded in the way that I've really wanted it to be for quite a while. So right there is a custom PC that I built begrudgingly. I don't like building PCs, but I had to. It's a 1950X Threadripper 2080 Ti, and it's basically like a high-end gaming computer, right? And it's good for game development, not necessarily the best for like professional virtual production, but it can do quite a bit. It also has the DeckLink AK in it for video I/O. But this is primarily where I sit down and do like really heavy development. I'm just gonna sit there and program all day and test out some new stuff. I like to do it at a desk, kind of comfortable, air conditioning and whatnot, and just do a quick tour of this one. So this is where Cinetracer is primarily happening, so I do a lot of programming here. I have two Dell 27-inch ultra sharp 4K monitors. Nice to have two of the same ones. Right here is a Atomos Sumo, which is a 19-inch 1080 monitor, basically. I just plug in HDMI in the back of it. And this is how I can record really good looking gameplay, if you want to call it that, or footage or whatnot. I can hit record on this monitor and it doesn't tax the actual computer, which would, you know, when you do screen recording, it hurts performance overall. So that's my way around that. For really like professional audio VO stuff, I have a Shure SM7B here on a boom mic. And are we able to see it? We have a Logitech Brio, which is a 4K webcam, which I use to record all sorts of stuff. And right here, I have a dedicated iPhone XS Plus. I forget what they called this one. This is permanently here, plugged in, hardwired for doing face capture stuff using ARKit. So it's nice to not have to use my actual phone. I just permanently leave here this phone, turn it on, and I can do my facial capture stuff, which you may have seen demos of. Other than that, I switched everything to wireless, so this is like a Logitech keyboard that has like a wireless well, connection obviously, but it has this little dial, which is kind of nice here that I like using. And I very much like the Logitech MX Master 3. On the Mac, I have the MX Master 2, right? This is just the newer one. So it's all just wireless and just a kind of a nice, clean white desk. And I can just come here and program for hours and hours and hours if I need to. And the latest addition to this is that I just installed into this room an HTC Vive Pro I. So I have 4 base stations all drilled into the wall. So that's the first base station. 2, 3, 4. So this whole area here is tracked. It's not the biggest in the world, but it's enough to get done normal VR development. And I'll scoot you over here and show you just kind of the rest of this setup. So just a little bit further down the desk here, I have my, where is it over here? This is my Vive Pro I, just got it. Just hooked onto the desk. I don't do a ton of HMD development. I think I'm going to be a little bit more in the future. Pop that there. What I'm really using are these. These are the Vive controllers, and I do a lot with these now. I use them for camera tracking, I use them for body mocap and whatnot. And so these are just permanently being plugged in, ready to go, and I just hang them off of my standing desk here. And this is a Veridesk, like a 60 by 30, something like that. So it's a standing desk that can go up and down. I tend to sit when I'm programming, but if I want to, I can raise the whole thing up. Other than that, that is Studio A. Over my shoulder there is a 4K TV, and I have a PlayStation 4. Looking forward to the PlayStation 5, of course. Nintendo Switch, Oculus Quest is over there, so I play a lot of Quest games, and trying to get my VR legs is like a really big thing I'm trying to get done this year so that I can do free movement and then do, you know, some actual VR development. And this is Studio A, and I spend probably about like 60% of my time here programming new stuff over there, editing, Zoom calls and whatnot, and I go downstairs when it gets serious. So let's teleport downstairs and I'll show you Studio B. And one last note, people have noticed who are just finding me that I have a lot of Fortnite toys, and this is not even all of them. Well, Fortnite just so happens to pay for a lot of what my life is, in my opinion, so I've made a shrine to that. And remember conferences, GDC, FMX, this is all last year's, SIGGRAPH. I was supposed to do those this year, but that didn't happen. So welcome to Studio B. If you've been following the vlog for a while, this might be kind of familiar. We got this big green screen. We got this craziness of a cart over here, and I'll kind of sit down and explain, break this down, and talk about the grant a little bit more. So welcome to Studio B, aka my basement. So we're going to talk a little bit about what all of this is, and also talk about specifically my Epic Mega Grant project. So my Epic Mega Grant is called Virtual Production Vlog and Cinetracer. So really quick high level is that I am exploring virtual production. That's a big category. I am making content around it. I also run the Unreal Engine Virtual Production Facebook group, so I'm running a community. And I'm also doing integrations with a lot of different companies that are interested in virtual production and who need a consultant, who need connections to other companies that I might be kind of like the middle person for that. And then for the Cinetracer users, you're like, great, what is, so have you left Cinetracer? Cinetracer dead? I know a lot of people have thought that, so that's a miscommunication on my part. The goal of all this research, or one of the goals of all this research into virtual production, is to decide which hardware, which software, which techniques, what of that is accessible to the everyday filmmaker. And I'm taking that technology and that programming and all that stuff and building relationships with hardware that's not even out yet or announced, and I'm gonna put that into Cinetracer, okay? So Cinetracer is like my big experiment where I'm like, I take the best of real-time rendering from Unreal Engine and mocap systems and the iPhone face capture and the inertia wheels and just a whole bunch of new stuff that's coming out, and I'm gonna put that in Cinetracer. So for this, if you got on the early release of Cinetracer from like years ago, that same license is gonna have all this stuff in it. I'm just currently in like a really big research and development phase of stuff. And so we haven't seen a lot of like Cinetracer developments that you get to use, but I have been updating Cinetracer behind the scenes. I mean, pretty publicly actually. A lot of that stuff is already in Cinetracer, and so that's the general scope of this Mega Grant project and what I do in general. So why do I need a Mega Grant, right? So I do pretty well selling Cinetracer. Like that's been my primary living for quite a while. So I don't do very much freelance DP work anymore. But to get into like real professional high-end virtual production, which is the goal of this vlog, that is quite expensive from just a hardware point of view. Like this alone, like just this cart with the hardware and the computer, this is reaching around maybe $60,000 of hardware. And that's not even like the beginning. Well, I guess it's the beginning, but it's the beginning of the journey to be able to do professional high-end virtual production, which is what I want to show, right? And be able to demo and do reviews of hardware that like most people have never seen before, never even heard of it, but this is the core tech in virtual production today. I want to be able to show that, do tutorials, review it, and just show people that's how it works. And I'm also, of course, showing indie approaches to it, which I've been doing and I will continue to do. But the goal is to be able to show the spectrum from very indie, anyone can get started in it. I've done a lot of that and will keep doing that, but also show, hey, if you want to work on like a really big professional virtual production set with Unreal Engine, this is the hardware, this is how it works, this is what you want to research. Pretty much no single individual is going to go recreate all the hardware that I even have now and what we'll have by the end of the year, but I want to be able to show it. We're in a certain state in the world where it's harder to get on location and see that stuff, so I'm kind of like a virtual remote showroom and demo space for Unreal Engine virtual production. At least that's the way I kind of see my role here. And again, I'm consulting and doing a lot of other behind the scenes stuff. So that is where the money is going, is to get this studio up and running off the ground. And it's unofficially, we called it everything but the LED wall, right? So all the hardware you would need to do all this stuff at the high end, except the LED wall, because I don't have a place to put that at the moment. So that's the Mega Grant, and let's continue the tour. So this is Studio B, and this is two Last-to-Light backdrops put together. It's like kind of a 180 cyc there, and that is my innovative cart, and let's go talk about it. So first of all, we have the HTC Vive over here that's just pretty much sitting there the whole time. I don't use it other than it being there to make the system work. And so I put this whole thing on an innovative cart so that it's movable, and it actually resembles what this should look like on set. This is what computer setups look like when you're on a professional set, if not in like a rack mount with wheels. So the heart of this system is the HP Z8. So that's pretty much one of the highest end workstations you can get for virtual production, and it's being used on a lot of big virtual production sets. So shout out HP, who is a sponsor. And they sent me the Z8, and inside of it, which you can't see because it's not a gaming PC, is an NVIDIA Quadro 8000. I made a video about that. And so this basically is like computer unleashed. Like there's no hardware limits from this. There's also a Blackmagic card in there and a whole bunch of other hardware. Very important, if you're wondering what this is a big UPS, so it's a battery backup. So if I lose power, this thing kicks on, and man, this thing weighs almost as much as that does. This is like solid something, like very, very heavy, but can power that whole computer for quite a while. And I like the carts because I just throw all my power and USBs and whatnot, just goes down there, and I can still move this whole thing around if I need to change the configuration of this studio, which happens almost daily. So same keyboard as I have upstairs, so the Logitech wireless keyboard with the knob. I like this, MX Master 3. This is a matching HPZ monitor, 27-inch 4K. And over here we have the inertia wheels. This is from the demo I did with Super Alloy last week. Xbox controller is mounted up. And we've got the monogram work in progress hardware. I've got a lot more of this coming in. This is like pre-production hardware too, but I consider this to be kind of like the general virtual production setup. And although it is very expensive, there are people that have actually recreated this in various forms, and it works as a blueprint for other people to say, oh, that's what Matt's done, that's what it can do, and I need something different. And so they do their own version. One of my favorite things here are my Vive controllers are actually in RoboCups, which is an awesome use case for those. So very happy with that. So that's the primary workstation when I'm doing like all virtual production stuff, like fully CG. That's what this is set up for. But it also, of course, works for mixed reality, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. We've got a whole lot of aperture lights. Love aperture lights. That's the aperture key light up there, and a little boom mic, and some cameras over there. So let's zoom over there. So moving on from the cart, this is set up kind of for live streaming and presenting. This is my primary virtual production camera here. Let me spin around. This is the Blackmagic Design Ursa Mini G2. So not the 12K version yet. And just another SDI monitor so I can see myself. And so this is what I'm primarily using for mixed reality. It's not set up at the moment, but if you've seen the videos, I usually put like a Vive tracker up here. And the next system I'm going to be testing and reviewing is the Vanishing Point vector system, which is by far the simplest way to get into mixed reality in Unreal Engine, and I'll be doing very in-depth reviews and demos of that very soon. So that is the main shooting area with the green screen and the camera, and there'll be a jib and more lights and whatnot. But what I want to talk about real quick is the Blackmagic Design Ultimat 12. And this is a really good example of what the virtual production vlog and this whole mega grant is really about. So to put it bluntly, this is a $20,000 hardware real-time keyer, right? So if you want to do really good real-time keying and separate people from the background and put in Unreal Engine backgrounds, this is the high end. This is the Mercedes version of doing that, and it's very expensive. So what I don't want to do is discourage people from getting into it who look at this and they're like, oh man, I need like all this expensive equipment. And that's not true, and I feel like I've shown that. But I do want to be able to show and demo what the professional high-end stuff looks like, how it works, make tutorials on it, and show it for the people that want to work on professional sets and become maybe like a virtual production technician. You just need to know how it works. You do not necessarily have to go and buy it unless you're trying to set up your own professional studio. So this really exemplifies the kind of spectrum here, right? So I've shown in the past that you can do this for free with OBS. You can use Composure in Unreal Engine completely free. You'll get really good chroma key results. But if you want the absolute best, there aren't even any tutorials about the Ultimat 12, and there's definitely none on how you use it with Unreal Engine or how you would use it with, say, like a Moses Unreal Engine plugin, which relies on the system. There's very little out there on that subject, and that's the kind of content I want to make. And the mega grant and the partnerships who are helping with this is what enables me to make that kind of content. Because on my own, I have no real need to have this system other than I'm gonna do some development for it and to make content with it. I'm not shooting professionally with it. I just want to be able to get all the kit together so I can make content around it to get more people able to be taking part in virtual production around Unreal Engine, right? So the more people that know how to use this, that know how to use this stuff, the more people that can get into Unreal Engine at a kind of beginner level and graduate into professional level, because we really need a lot more very highly skilled and trained virtual production people. So that's my whole rant on this one. So again, that's the main shooting area and the Ultimat system. Again, I'm using like deck furniture. I'll probably buy another innovative card to make this look a little bit nicer. But before we go over there, this is just another room. Nothing too exciting. I used to live stream in here actually. But this is actually the Vector Vanishing Point system. We're gonna get there. This is my like audio shelf. I don't know why I'm showing this, but anyway. And then a bunch of storage stuff here. So a lot of cases, aperture lights, C300 if I need it, DK2, depth sensor. I've been doing this for a little while. Two 1080 Ti's just hanging out. And this is when I was a Manfrotto ambassador. So I was on the back of the box, was cool. And a couple Elgato key lights when I need them. And a little bit of foreshadowing, I got my router and a bunch of Ethernet. This is for doing DMX control of lights from Unreal Engine and maybe Cinetracer. Okay, let's spin over here. And this is my main kind of like work table here. Some tools are underneath. That's where I keep all my extra monitors and my farm simulator wheel that I'm not currently using. And just a bunch of, you know, normal hardware stuff like hard drives that I need. Allen wrenches, this is really bright. This is a bunch of extra USB hubs that you never know. And working with Tangent to get that system up and running. That's going to be really fun when that's the plugins written for that. And some extra stuff here. And so this should be familiar. This is my Rococo Smart Suit Pro, and a lot of people have been seeing that I've been doing a lot of Vive mocap, and they're like, oh, is this no good? That is not the case. I am just currently working on Vive mocap. I will be getting right back into the Smart Suit and be doing a video on kind of the spectrum of mocap hardware and whatnot. So that's a very important piece of it. Some grip equipment. My hands made this thing out of focus. And this is my Vive cabinet, which has been upgraded quite a bit. So I have 4 unopened trackers. I haven't even opened these yet. A bunch of body straps to strap Vives to you. And in here is even more Vive stuff. So I've got my Vive shoes, dedicated Vive shoes, pretty awesome. And this is 8 point, 11 point, I forget. That's a full Vive system right there. And those are all the Vive tracker dongles. And I think these 4 are gonna actually go upstairs for my other setup. So I'm doing a lot of Vive stuff. Ooh, okay, so yeah, that wraps it up for the studio tour. Studio A is like where I just do programming and kind of like consumer level VR development. And Studio B is like really the virtual production kind of studio here with the green screen, the cameras, the Z8, the carts, the Ultimat, you know, and it's gonna get even crazier as time goes on, and full body mocap and stuff, that all happens down here. And it also hopefully explains what it is that I'm doing for anyone that cares. It explains the mega grants, again, virtual production vlog and content, and Cinetracer. So doing a lot of, again, just exploration and testing and showing and demoing and hopefully eventually teaching virtual production from entry level to high end, and then bringing what I can of that to Cinetracer. So people who are not as technically inclined and really may not have the time to get into the deep engine kind of stuff, it will be some of it available in Cinetracer. You'd be surprised how much I can bring to Cinetracer in the next year or two. It's gonna be a good time. I am working currently on performance capture stuff that's Vive based because that can go right into Cinetracer, but I'm gonna get right back into the higher end stuff like the Rococo suits and faceware and some of that. Gonna get back into camera tracking, gonna get into controlling lights with Unreal Engine, where there's a whole lot of stuff, and of course, and displaying LED walls. This studio can't really house an LED wall, which is too bad. That was kind of the plan earlier this year, but we'll figure something out. Before I wrap this up, I just wanted to say thank you again to Epic Games, everyone on the Unreal Engine side of things. I'm gonna try to name everyone off the top of my head. Super sorry if I forgot your name in this, but you know, if we've talked, we've worked together, you know, all the support has been super appreciated, of course, on my end. So first up, thank you, Kim Libreri, CTO of Epic Games. I remember first meeting at the top of the booth at GDC, and just kind of talking about the film industry and Unreal Engine and kind of the direction. And Cinetracer was very young at that point, and we've gone on to do some pretty cool demos. My favorite, of course, being the LED wall. So thank you to Kim. Thanks to Mark Petit, who's general manager of Unreal Engine. Is normally one of the key speakers at any of the Unreal Engine events, has been incredibly supportive of this effort from the very beginning. So thank you to Mark. Andy Blondin, of course, is like the first person who brought me into the Unreal Engine family, is continuing to be the person who really teaches me virtual production so that I can continue to share it. Just FYI, I don't know all that much about it, but I'm learning it. And then I have kind of a platform to be able to then continue to share that. So thank you to Andy. And Matt Madden from Profile Studios, who's now part of the team, and the whole virtual production squad, like Ryan Maeda, I think is actually product manager for Unreal, but I consider him part of the virtual production team as well. Dave Hibbets, who's one of the virtual production programmers and does the live link programming, and a lot of the kind of like very technical hardware integration stuff, I bug him way too much. On the LA lab side of things, David Marin, you know, first person to bring me to like an Unreal Engine event, you know, at FMX, and continuing to be kind of a supporter of, you know, the Cinetrator project and bringing it to the ASC and to the unions. And, you know, David's way more connected in like the actual film industry than I am. And who else on the LA side? Juan Gomez, what I think was like one of the main people that brought me into the LED demo. So that was like life changing and You know, we still talk a lot about building out virtual production systems, and he's, you know, doing integrations and whatnot. Also Ryan Whitaker, special projects from the Bay side of things, and Miles Perkins and Craig from kind of business development. Miles helped me a lot with all my live presentations. That was very, very helpful. Moving to like the UK side of things, Alistair Thompson, Ben Lumsden, Ben Kidd, who's been doing the kind of end display tutorials, and he's setting up the LA lab and going to be doing a lot. Hopefully together if I'm ever able to travel again. That was, again, the plan at a certain point. Dana from kind of like marketing, if that's fair to say, has been really supportive of, been doing kind of like co-marketing things together. And Victor Broden and Amanda from the live streams and the community dev side of things. You know, so sad we didn't get to do GDC. That was going to be like a super party and SIGGRAPH and whatnot. So hopefully, you know, maybe next year. And just anyone else, sorry if I didn't mention you by name, but those are the people off the top of my head that I've been working with quite a bit. Patrick as well, and any of the people in the Facebook group, Vitaly from End Display and Patrick, who are doing like really like boots on the ground support of the virtual production users. All is super appreciated. So this is probably a long YouTube video. I don't care. I wanted to make it. These end up being kind of like time capsules for me. Where we're at, mid-2020, in the middle of the lockdown. Still trying to do virtual production content remotely, still doing what I can for Cinetracer and kind of the virtual production industry overall. And thanks for watching this vlog. Got a lot more content coming out, a lot more Cinetracer updates coming out, don't worry. I have a lot planned for that platform, and I'll see you guys on the next video.